Donald Trump won the latest primaries in the U.S. states of West Virginia and Nebraska on Tuesday. Easy to do when you're the only candidate left for the Republican Party. For the Democrats, Hillary Clinton won Nebraska, but Bernie Sanders beat Clinton in West Virginia. Now, he's too far behind in the delegate race to threaten Clinton, but every victory is a dent in the would-be Madam President's armor.
A thorn in Hillary Clinton's side. Bernie Sanders knows his rival is just 145 delegates away from locking up the Democratic presidential nomination. But he is not discouraged.
Now, we fully acknowledge, we are good in arithmetic, that we have an uphill climb ahead of us. But we are used to fighting uphill climbs.
After defeating Clinton in West Virginia, he argued he would do better against Republican Donald Trump in a general election. And that is exactly what his supporters want to hear.
I have full confidence that Bernie will still win the nomination. We will have a contested convention. And in the end, Bernie's going to win the nomination, and he's going to become our next president, our next Democratic nominee.
I think that a lot of other people who are Sanders supporters are in the same position as me. And we'd like to see the Democratic Party go back to what it was before Bill Clinton.
Sanders continues to do well with young voters, but Clinton's lead is looking highly insurmountable.
Well, I'm joined now in the studio by Erwin Collier. He's from the JFK Institute for North American Studies at the Free University here in Berlin. He's a familiar face here. He's been walking with us through this crazy campaign this year. Erwin, let me ask you about Donald Trump. He has been noticeably quiet this week, particularly following yesterday's primaries. What's your read on that?
Well, you know, everything is relative. When he's relatively quiet, he is still tweeting all sorts of insults across the blogosphere. And, you know, going after Hillary Clinton's husband, big time. Yeah. And also, you know, indicating in no uncertain terms that it's all about him and the Republican Party is not getting the votes. Donald Trump is getting the votes. So he's not been as quiet as he might have been.
Well, I mean, he is telling the truth when, you know, he is the presumptive Republican nominee.
Absolutely.
There are no other candidates still in the race. And he is now saying there will be, you know, no contested convention in July. It's a done deal.
I can imagine there are going to be many unhappy campers, but the Republican Party, it's just too late to try any breakup maneuvers. There's going to be jockeying for position, I think, a lot of jockeying for position after Trump loses. After Trump loses, then it's a new deck of cards. So I can see a lot of people are looking at that step. You have to always think, you know, at least one step ahead, one move ahead.
Yeah, the Republican Party, I mean, you know, I was saying earlier today, it's going through these existential seizures right now. Paul Ryan, for example, he can't bring himself to get on board the Trump train. Just take a listen to what he said.
To pretend we're unified as a party after coming through a very bruising primary, which just ended like a week ago, to pretend we're unified without actually unifying, then we go into the fall at half strength. This election's too important to go into an election at half strength. That means we need a real unification of our party, which, you know, look, after a tough primary, that's going to take some effort.
And who's gonna be the unifier? I mean, last week, Paul Ryan said it's the candidate, the would-be president. But that's a different tone there, right?
Sure. Who's supposed to bring the flowers to make good again? It's not clear to me that we can expect very much from Donald Trump. Donald Trump says, I've won it, and if you want to work with me, that's fine. If not, we'll be seeing each other, and he thinks, as the president.
We're almost out of time, but let me just ask one question. I've got to ask you about Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. I mean, she's got the delegates, right? But it still doesn't feel like a sure thing.
Which I think is a great misperception. I mean, Hillary Clinton was in better shape against Obama at the same period, and she could see what the handwriting was on the wall. But Bernie Sanders, really, he's got a movement behind him. He would be disappointing so many people who put their hopes, their money behind him. He can't let them down. If he backed out, there would be great bitterness. But it's going to be really tough for Hillary because she doesn't have to just woo an elite. She has to woo a lot of Bernie Sanders supporters. And there are lots of them. Their spirit is really important if she wants to have a Senate controlled by the Democrats.
Urban Collier, as always, thanks for coming in and giving us valuable insight. We appreciate it.
Glad to be here.